Howdy, folks. Greyhawk4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and it is our campaign update time of the week with, this is episode number 12 in a series, and if you are behind, you can go to the playlist and get yourself all caught up to wherever you need to be, and then come back and watch this one, and you'll be up to date. So, our campaign, of course, takes place in the Dolmenwood game setting, using the old school essentials rule set. So, where we had left off, our party was, along with some NPCs that had teamed up with us, were pretty beat up, and we were recuperating. And where we started off this time, during our recuperation, the one of the encounters that came up while we were trying to rest was we had a friar who showed up, saying that he was there to check the property and just general exploring, etc. And we were very distrusting, as we have been with all visitors, and we were because we were injured, so some of the party members were like, well, he could help us, he could heal us, but we're not very trusting of that he's even what he says he is. So because of our distrust, he left, and he went off to do whatever he was going to do, and I think he said something about going to the chapel or something like that. And so he takes off, and we continue to heal up and all that. And at some point, there's a decision that's made that, well, perhaps we should go investigate that part of the this. I don't want to call it a town, but it's a compound, because you have this tower structure that we've been exploring and adventuring in, and had to deal with the rag and bone man and all that. But in the same area here, there's a graveyard, there's a chapel, there's some outbuildings and so forth. And so the decision is, well, maybe we should go with him to the chapel and explore that. So we do that. We decide, well, not all of us. Some of us decide to go with him. And I can't remember who it was that made the decision to follow him. I think it might have been our moss dwarf. And I got to remember I always forget our moss dwarf's name. But he went after him, because he really did think, hey, this guy could help us or whatever. And so Randy Midnight and some others, Randy Midnight's the other fighter in our party, he went after him. I stayed back at the camp. My character stayed back at the camp. There was myself, the NPC wizard, and maybe a couple of others that stayed there, because don't forget, we have these children that we have rescued from the rag and bone creature, that at some point we've got to get them back to their families and everything. We are also still looking for another missing child named Violet, who Lady Harriman is who hired us basically to try and recover her child. And this is the most logical place where she is, because all these other children disappeared here, and we've rescued some of them. But there's the conundrum of, we've got to get them back to town to reunite with their families. But we also know it's been like 4 days that we've been looking for this Violet child, and we're worried that even if, like, she's just hurt somewhere and she's alone, she could starve to death at this point, because it's already been 4 days. So we're worried about the clock is ticking and all that. But anyway, they go after the friar dude, and they get there, and they disturb an owl bear. So they decide, we got to get the hell out of here. So they all book it. The owlbear starts pursuing them, and it becomes obvious to Randy Midnight he cannot outrun the owlbear. The owlbear's just moving too fast, and he's in armor, so he can't move as fast. So he decides, rather than to get attacked from behind, defenseless manner, he's going to turn and face it and try and fight it as best he can. So he engages with the owlbear. The others, I think, turn around to go to help him, but even before they can get to him, the owlbear basically kills Randy Midnight. He has 3 attacks. The owlbear had 3 attacks, and I think he even got a successful grapple, and basically crushed the life out of Randy Midnight. Because we were already injured, don't forget. We didn't have a lot of hit points before that even happened. And at some point, somebody hollered out for help or whatever. My character and some of the others back at the tower, we hear that and we go out, to help, but it's too late. Randy Midnight's already been defeated. We end up taking out the owlbear. I think the magic user is one of all people that he ended up critting the owlbear or something. Like he ends up killing the owlbear or whatever. But Randy Midnight's already gone. So somebody asked in my live about resurrection, and our characters are very low level still. Like we're all level 2, if not maybe 3. Some of us might be 3. I'm level 2 because mine is a new character because my original character was killed. So resurrection hasn't even become like a topic of discussion yet. We don't even know that that's a possibility. So we bury Randy Midnight's body at the tree because he tried to run up a tree or whatever. That's what it was. The owlbear. Trying to remember here how the sequence of events went. The owlbear, if I remember, there was either Randy tried to run into the tree or the owlbear went up the tree because it got injured. Regardless, it killed him at a tree. So we buried him below the tree where he fell until further notice. And maybe at some point the characters can find out that resurrection is a possibility. We could always go back and exhume him and take him to wherever we could get resurrection done or whatever. So that is, of course, a possibility down the road. But so Brad, who played Randy Midnight, he had to roll up a new character. The new character's name, so the Moss Dwarf is Smodry, played by Stasha, and now the new character of Randy Midnight is Gooch Grimgem. Is the new character of another human fighter. So we still have 2 fighters. My character Zwei and Gooch are now the 2 fighters, but we're both in this campaign our DM has us start at first level. So I believe Gooch is first level. We've gotten some XP since, so maybe he might have enough to go to second level. But so every time that we've lost 3 party members now. We've lost my character. We lost Stasha's first character, the Grimalkin, Petunia, and then Randy Midnight. And they were all at least level 3 when they were killed. So we have to start over with first level characters. So you can see that we're not progressing as a group. We're actually regressing because we're getting weaker. Because we keep, that's 3 of the 4 main people that play. That Niels is the only one. His character, the magic user, is the only one that hasn't, knock on wood, been defeated yet in battle, and so he's still leveling. But the rest of us are regressing back to first level. So we're actually not progressing. We're going the other direction. So after we take care of Randy Midnight's burial and all that, we decide to go back. We gain some more strength. The healers healed us some more after getting their spells back and so forth. And we decide we have got to get down and try and find this Violet person, because time is of the essence now. Because even if she's just like locked up somewhere, abandoned or whatever, she's going to starve to death or die of dehydration or whatever. So we know we've got to get to her. So we start going back down into the dungeon of the tower at a frantic pace. We're just kicking down doors, and we're just going door to door wherever we haven't explored. And we end up the short answer is we end up encountering quite a few different creatures along the way. We got attacked by some undead disembodied hands that were just the hands scurrying around attacking us. That actually knocked my character unconscious because one of them critted me. And luckily, I was able to be healed back up to a point where I think somebody did have one healing potion or something like that. So we had that happen. And then we end up checking another room, and there was a cloaker, which is a creature that hides in the ceiling of a room. It's kind of looks like a manta ray. And at a certain point, it drops and attacks from above, like basically a big sheet, and it comes down and envelops you and tries to attack you that way. My character, of course, was the one that got attacked by that and got knocked unconscious again. And so we survived that. We made it to a room off of the records room that we make it into that is littered with bones of who knows what. And there's a chest at the far end. We go to the chest, open the chest, and it sets off like an alarm. And it also had a poisonous, like, it was me that opened, my character that opened it. I opened it with my sword from a distance. I flipped it open, but regardless, I got hit by a poison dart, failed my saving throw, but it was a poison that basically just puts you to sleep. But it sets off this alarm, this screeching noise, which brings this creature out, which is basically a creature made of the bones. It looks like made of the bones of this room. And it's a badass. And somebody woke me up. All they had to do was go over and wake me up, because it was just a sleep poison or whatever. And then we were able to defeat this thing, not easily. But we defeat this thing, and we realize that this thing is guarding something. And we search for a secret door. We find a secret door, and that turns out to be just a back door into this room from another part of the dungeon we'd already been in. So it was guarding if you found the secret door coming from the other direction as well, I guess. So we get to a point where we get frustrated, and we're like, well, we've searched all down through here, and we have not found her. But somebody in the party says, well, there's other parts. Don't forget, there's the chapel. There's the other parts of this area that we could search. So we go back to the chapel, and we find a entrance to a dungeon below like a mausoleum underneath the chapel. And we make it into it's all blocked, by the way, by like all this stuff piled up in front of the door, and we have to push the door open. I make my strength roll along with the new character, Randy's replacement, Gooch. The two of us together both had to make our strength rolls to get that door open, and we get down inside, and it is indeed like the tombs, the mausoleum of this chapel area or whatever. And we get attacked by some undead in there. And we end up surviving that, barely. We end up surviving that. They were like animated skeletons or whatever. And that was getting pretty late in the night, and it was like, okay, well, we need to stop for the session anyway. So we stopped. We're down in that mausoleum, and we don't know. We still have not found Violet. So we're hoping that as we explore the rest of this mausoleum area, perhaps we'll find her. Hopefully. But the decision was made. If we don't find her soon, we're going to go back up, and we're going to have to get the other children together along with. There's a wizard NPC that's basically babysitting them at this point, watching them up there, keeping them safe while we do what we're doing, trying to find Violet. But we're going to regroup and just take them back to the village and try and reunite them with their parents, because at this point we have spent more than enough time. We're afraid that if she is still around, it's probably too late at this point. And we got to get those. We're thinking, there's more families that need to be reunited with their children, and this one we can always come back and try again, but these kids are getting anxious to get back home, and the wizard who's watching them is like, hey, we got to get these kids back to their families, etc. So when we regroup this coming up week, we're going to continue searching real quick, and if we don't find her, we're going to take them and go back to town, and then try and get completely healed up and maybe come back again. So that's where we're at. It has been a meat grinder of a campaign so far. So if you're keeping score, that's 3 lost party members at this point. But we're plugging on ahead, and hopefully we did get enough experience to get maybe a couple of levels out of this for maybe me. Gooch maybe up to 2nd level. Hopefully, what's his? I always forget his name. Smodry, the Mossdorf. Maybe get him leveled up. Maybe even get the Magic User level up. That would be great. So that's it, guys. You're all caught up until this Friday. We'll have our next session again, and then we'll do another recap. So hopefully, knock on wood, that's the last of player characters that are lost, hopefully. So until next time, guys, we will catch you on the flip side.